Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Let's make our way to our seats. So grateful to be able to be here and be able to chat and walk around and just be amongst each other. I am vaccinated, so I will be removing my mask. If you are vaccinated, you are welcome to remove your mask. You do not have to, but you are more than welcome to. As we pray, I want to remind ourselves that we are allowed to sing now. And I don't know if you've noticed, it's just me up here. So it'd be so nice as I very modestly and humbly play the guitar, as we all know, it's not my strong suit. Sing with me, join in song, and lift our prayers up. I'm so grateful to have you here tonight. So we'll start with a little nigun, a song, a wordless melody of welcome. So here we go. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 Shabbat Shalom. I'm so grateful all of you are here with me, and we of course welcome everyone joining us online. Two of our normal service leaders, of course Rabbi Yair Robinson and our music director Dennis Stewart, are taking a well-deserved week off. It has been one incredible year, and I know we can all appreciate a moment of rest. So we are so grateful. I am so grateful that you all are here to support me as we are praying together, and I am so grateful that they get to have their time. So we continue on page 10, there we go, with Hine Matov. Once again, we are here together. It seems to be, to me, a miracle. We are all together praying and lifting our voices. If I can get the right chord. That's wrong. Anyway, that sounds bad. We're going to sing it with that guitar. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov. Yararai, yarararai. Hine matov, hine matov. Yararai, yarararai. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. I really thought I had that. No matter. Shabbat evening, we welcome in Shabbat with psalms, with songs of praise, and we do this now on page 12 with Psalm 95, L'chuna ranana. We sing joyously for Shabbat to welcome it in, and then we will be, of course, continuing with the candle blessing on page 2. So L'chuna ranana on 12, and then we'll go right to page 2. L'chuna ranana, l'chuna ranana, l'chuna ranana l'Adonai. 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 Naria, Naria, litzur yishenu, nekad mafana betoda. Naria, Naria, litzur yishenu, bizmirot Naria lo. L'chuna ranana, l'chuna ranana, l'chuna ranana l'Adonai. L'chuna ranana, l'chuna ranana, l'chuna ranana l'Adonai. If you at home tuning in over the internet have not had a chance to light your Shabbat candles, I invite you to do so now. We all look towards our Shabbat lights, and we read together on page 3, so the facing page to page 2, the first reading together. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. We continue to welcome Shabbat on page 20 with Lecha Dodi, verses 1, 5, and 9. And as a reminder, we will rise before verse 9 as we face the doors and welcome the Shabbat bride. So before verse 9. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem ultiferet v'litila. Echad Adi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela hitoreri kiva orech kumi uri shir daberi kivod Adonai alayich nigla lechadodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Please rise as you are able. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha uv'tzola toch emuneh am segula boi chala lechadodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela. We remain risen in spirit or in body, and we face the ark for our call to worship on page 28. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la la la. We read together on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma porteach sha'arim uvitvuna mishaneh itim umachalif et hazmanim sader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla. Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. We read responsibly on the bottom of page 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. Then this holiest of your words and the living language that gives it form, together. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. We continue with the chanting of the Veya on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha vishinantam levanecha vidibarta bam beshivtecha bevetecha ulechtecha vaderech uvshoch becha uvkumecha Ukshartan leot aliadecha vehayu letotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvishearecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai V'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lehiyot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem emet. I invite us to read again responsively on the bottom of 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, in a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. It's such a beautiful transition at the end of that reading, straight into Mi Chamocha, but a few words reflecting on the holiday weekend coming up. I cannot think of a more appropriate time to sing of freedom. July 4th is a time when we recognize our own nation's declaration of a nation based in freedom. And while we know this is not a perfect vision yet, we ground ourselves in that spirit and we celebrate freedom as we sing these ancient words together on page 40. Ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh Nora deilot osef ele Nora deilot osef ele Adonai yimlach leolam va'ed Malchutecha u'banecha Boke'ayan livnei Moshe u'Miriam Ze'elianu v'yamru Ze'elianu v'yamru Adonai yimlach leolam va'ed Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 Yai lai 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 V'nehema ki Adonai et Yaakov Ugelo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Yisrael. Page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Israel. Top of 44. Veshamru b'nei Israel et Shabbat la'asot et Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam. I want to hear you. Veshamru b'nei Israel et Shabbat la'asot et Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We take a moment to reflect on this liminal time of Shabbat, this time of rest and this time of closeness to God and closeness to our families, if we are so blessed to be able to spend the weekend with them. And as we are reflecting on that, I ask that we rise in spirit or in body for the Amidah. Page 46. Now this tune might be a little different, but I think you'll catch on, and I invite you, as you do catch on, to sing with me. Yai lai 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 lai, or you know it. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Let's do it again. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, 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 yai lai 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 lai. Adonai Sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tefilatecha Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zacher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei v'Neihem, Lima'an Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chayim Mechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Samich Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bagivurot, Umidon Elach, Melech Meimit Umechayeh, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Natan HaChayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah Kadosh Shimcha Kadosh, Ukdoshim Bechol Yom Yihalelucha Selah, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. If you are standing, I invite you to sit. And we continue on the top of page 55 and the top reading of 57 and 59 as well. So left side of the page, top side for the next 3 pages. Together, may these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch Atah Adonai, She'otcha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch Atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulecha Na'eh Lechodot. On page 60. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lecho HaShalom. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha livarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. As we pray for shalom, peace, we also, of course, pray for shalem, wholeness, wholeness in body and spirit and mind. And with that, we turn to our prayer for healing, for we know that not everyone in our lives has the blessing of being whole right now, in whatever sense of the word. We can find our prayer for healing on page 253. And before we sing these words, I invite you, as my eyes meet yours, to share any names of people you are thinking of who might need healing. And if you are online with us, please feel free to share it in the chat as well. So I'm looking at you now. And I'll add Dominic Staggs and Zaytun Karu to that list. And we join together, page 253. Mi shebeirach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We take a moment for the prayers of our hearts. Yehiyu liratzon imrefi ve'gyon libi lefanecha And we rise as we are able for Seder Kriyat HaTorah. Ramimu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lecha kodsho. Ramimu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lecha kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramimu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu ramimu. Ramimu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lecha kodsho. Ramimu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lecha kodsho. You may be seated while I go get the Torah commentary so I can look up what page we're on, because I forgot to do that. You all can take out your Torah commentaries with me. We find ourselves this week in Parshat Pinchas, and you will hear, if you attend tomorrow, much more on this from, of course, our lovely Moret Eliana, our Director of Lifelong Learning, Eliana Hall. It's going to be a fabulous lesson tomorrow. So I don't want to say too much about what we're talking about, because believe me, they are so excited and have put so much together. I really, and we've been talking about it a bit, so I don't want to accidentally give anything away. But I will set the scene. We are at this famous, we are at this very famous part where Moses now knows he's not going to make it into the promised land. And so who in the world is going to lead the Jewish people once they get there? Who in the world? So God tells Moses, it's time for you to pass on your legacy. There's a lot of emotion behind this. You'll explore that tomorrow. But who are we handing it to? If you've read Pinchas, you know it is going to be Joshua. And we are about to read the part of the story in which the ordination ritual that Rabbi and I both underwent, the word smicha, the passing of tradition to oral tradition from rabbi to rabbi, comes from. Literally the laying of the hands from Moses to Joshua as he hands over, symbolically or not, the word of God and the leadership of the Jewish people. So we are going to find these verses together. It is Numbers chapter 27, starting on verse 18, and I am almost there. I'm in 28, so go to around the 1070s and we'll almost be there. Here we go. So you can find this on page 1080, 1081, starting on verse 18. And this will be 18 through 23. So Numbers 27, verses 18 through 23. If you are following along at home, if you type that into using the assistance of Rav Google, you should be able to find it as well. It is, of course, Kabbalat Shabbat. It is the first Friday of the month, which is very exciting because it is the Friday when we celebrate all of our birthdays in that month. So the Aliyah, of course, this week will go to any July birthdays in the room. Hooray. You can stay standing where you are. That's our protocol right now. I cannot wait for the day when we can all be gathered around the Torah. Now I can't, do we do anniversaries too? I'm having a mind blank. No, it's just birthdays. Whew. Cantor's a little tired, okay. So, July birthdays, very exciting. As Rabbi says, you do not need to tell us which one. But we are so excited that it is your birthday and you are going to be celebrating with us. So I'll lead you in the blessing if you need it. So together we say 1, 2, 3. Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach, Baruch Adonai hamborach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai hamborach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Amen. And before I read this, you can sit for now. I'll have you stand again when it is time to do the blessing after. So once again, we are chapter 27, verse 18. Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, kach lecha et Yehoshua, et Yehoshua ben Nun, ish asher ruach bo, v'samachta et yadcha alav, v'ha'amadeta oto lifnei Elazar hakohen ulifnei kol ha'eda, v'tzivita oto le'einehem. V'natata mehodcha alav leman yishma'u cho'adat b'nei Yisrael, v'lifnei Elazar hakohen yamod v'sha'alo b'mishpat ha'orim lifnei Adonai al piv yitzu ve'al piv yavo'u ve'chol b'nei Yisrael oto ve'chol ha'eda vayas Moshe kasher tziva Adonai oto vayikach et Yehoshua vayamidehu lifnei Elazar Vayamidehu lifnei Elazar hakohen v'lifnei kol ha'ida vayismoch et yadav alav vayitzavehu kasher diber Adonai Beyad Moshe. And I ask our July birthdays to once again rise and say the blessing after the Torah reading. 1, 2, 3. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah. Amen. Before you sit, we bless you, of course, with strength, with happiness in this new beginning, this new year in your lives, in this time of renewal. And we wish you all happiness, health, and strength. And please join me in singing this blessing for reaching this time. Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai. No, wrong one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. It's my fault. Melech haolam. Shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. It's my fault. They start the same, and I went to the wrong prayer. You picked up what I threw down. It's all good. We all rise for the rising and dressing of the Torah. All right. Okay, here we go. This Zota Torah asher sa Moshe livnei bnei Israel al pi Adonai yad Moshe. Shalom, 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 shalom. It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom. As we are seated, I invite up our Director of Lifelong Learning, Eliana Hall, to present us with a story. Second.
Here, I've got this one, it's good.
Oh, I forgot.
I found a solution. It was the couple. All right, yes. Do you have my story, though? It's hidden under there, I think.
Yes. I forgot.
It's a long one because I couldn't stop myself. Wait till you see Torah study in the morning.
I mean, if you're not intrigued to come to Torah study by now, I don't know what's...
All right. So this has actually nothing to do with Torah study. This is a story that I love to tell, and you'll find out why in a moment. So it begins, there's a man named Joseph. Joseph loves to celebrate Shabbat. He had two personal Shabbat minhagim that were very dear to him. And each week he would select, one of them was that each week he would select choice ingredients when preparing the food, and he would invite the whole village, his poor wife, to Shabbat dinner with him. And he would also set aside, as his second minhag, a generous amount for tzedakah every week. He did this at great cost to him, even though he was of modest means. And Shabbat and tzedakah really were just two of his favorite aspects of being Jewish. Joseph, meanwhile, had a wealthy neighbor named Judah. Judah did not celebrate Shabbat. Judah did not give tzedakah. And worse, Judah openly scoffed at Joseph each and every week for wasting his money rather than keeping it for himself. Joseph, his response every week was to insist that the honor that he gave Shabbat would surely be returned to his household 1,000-fold. And by the way, Judah, would you like to come for Shabbat? smile. And Judah every time turned him down. And this makes Judah sound pretty terrible, but with each passing week, with each conversation about how much he loved Shabbat, Joseph began to see the good in Judah. And he thought, he's a little tense, but he seems like maybe he just needs a friend. So this, I really hope that I can befriend him, and maybe I can convince him to love Shabbat too. But Judah was not just a miser, he was a man lacking in nuance, and he was a bit paranoid. So he declined every single invitation. He stewed for a while before going to sleep every Friday night. And one night he was so agitated that he began to dream that Joseph took all of his wealth and was giving his money away on Shabbat too. So he woke up in a cold sweat, and he freaked out, and he took immediate action. He sold everything he owned. He bought a large jewel, a large ruby, sewed it into his clothing, told no one what he was doing, got on a boat, and sailed as far away from that fiscally irresponsible Joseph as he possibly could. He's got to go. But here's the deal. This is Judaism. If you get on a boat to run away from your responsibilities, there will be a storm, things go down. So, there's a storm! He's washed overboard, his coat is ridiculously heavy, there's a ruby sewn into it, he's got to ditch the coat, he swims for shore, he makes it, but his ruby is sunk to the bottom of the ocean, and he crawls back to his village, poor and in his soggy underpants. And that's it. But the fish down there eating everything managed somehow, inexplicably, to swallow the ruby and survive. So there's a fish swimming around with a giant ruby, and as it happens, Joseph catches that fish while fishing, gives it to his wife to prepare for Shabbat dinner. She begins preparing Shabbat dinner, and it dawns on her that her family has no more financial problems. And remember that Joseph has 2 Shabbat minhagim that are very dear to him. He loves to have giant Shabbat dinners, these very elaborate Shabbat dinners where he invites everyone, and he loves to give tzedakah. So what he does next is obvious. He begins having even more elaborate Shabbat dinners, invites the next town over along with them, and he gives even more to tzedakah. The end, right? Okay, well, I've actually heard that ending, and it's not very interesting. There's another ending that says that he happened somehow to figure out, you know what, that Judah, he's a little bit strange, and I've been talking to him a lot, and I think this is what he did. I think this was his ruby. I think I'm going to invite him for Shabbat and really care for him and listen to his sad story and then give him back his wealth. And Judah was so touched by all of this that he was a changed man, and he celebrated Shabbat every single Friday night, and he always gave tzedakah, which is also a pretty good ending. There's another ending that says, according to this ending, he keeps celebrating Shabbat just as he always has, but he puts all the money into a fund for a year-long synagogue-wide family Shabbat program, sharing his love with the entire community, and lets the director of lifelong learning plan the whole thing. And then there's another one that he donates a generous amount to tzedakah, takes an extended vacation to the tropics, loves it, moves there, and now has key lime pie every Shabbat and invites the whole island of Key West. Those are all of the endings that we have. So before I get to my point, raise your hand if you prefer the ending that stays the same but with better Shabbat dinners and more tzedakah. Yeah, it's kind of Raise your hand if you prefer the ending where he gives it back to Judah, and Judah is so stunned he is a changed man. Okay, we got some. We got a few. Do you prefer the one where there's an extravagant Shabbat family program for the whole synagogue every single Friday night? Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's mine. Raise your hand if you're for moving to Key West. Yeah, I counted that one too. Here's the thing, these are all perfectly good endings in keeping with Jewish values. From a halachic point of view, Joseph doesn't have to give the ruby back if he doesn't know where it came from. He's free to use what is now his wealth to give tzedakah any way he sees fit, and there's no Jewish prohibition against enjoying a lovely vacation in Key West. So in all of the endings, what's fascinating to me, because I found these all Googling it, I love this story, and I've heard it told many different ways. In all of the endings, Joseph does maintain his core values. He loves being Jewish, he loves Shabbat, he loves giving tzedakah, he loves his neighbors, and that's what they all have in common. So may you find a metaphorical ruby this Shabbat and do with it whatever makes you feel fulfilled.
We thank our Director of Lifelong Learning for that beautiful, beautiful message. And we reflect on that as we rise and face the ark for Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282. 282. Aleinu L'Shabeach. Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol Latet Gedula Liyotzeh Breshit Shelo Asani Kigorei Ha'aratzot V'lo Samanu Kimishpachot Ha'adama Shelo Sam Chelkeinu Kahem V'gor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam V'anachnu Koreim Umishtachavim U'modim Lifnei Melech Malchei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. 287. V'nemor v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. You may be seated. As always, during times of joy like Shabbat, we most keenly feel those who are absent. So as we turn to page 294 for our Mourner's Kaddish, we, of course, hold in our hearts the memories of those we have lost and the memories of those who we cherish and wish were here with us. We know that there are those amongst our community have lost people very recently, including the Eadsteins and the Glaziers, and also those who may not have openly or told us that they've lost people during the past year, but we know so many have been lost. So if you are in your period of Shiva, the first week of mourning, we ask that you rise. If you are in a period of Shloshim, the first month of mourning, you may rise now. And if you are remembering a yahrzeit, the anniversary of a loved one's passing, I invite you to rise. Or in the first, I forgot to, of course, recognize those who are in the first year of mourning. Please rise. Apologies. And if you are now honoring a yahrzeit, the anniversary of a loved one's death, please rise. We join together with these words, these sacred words of memory and of praise, the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chiratei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chai echon u'vyom echon, u'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'amei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit haleh, v'yit alal, shemei d'kadsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mrama. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael b'mru. Amen. This weekend, this Shabbat, we are, of course, missing the following from our community. Peter Eidstein, apologies. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name. Eidstein. There we go. Peter Eidstein. Sorry, Sandy. Millicent Herman, Richard Glazier. Josephine Akel, Frances Applebaum, Herman Zeenberg, Esther Miller, Robert Kramer, Herman Stanley Kerr, Morris Pfeffer, Ruth Lieberman, Rose G. Koffler, Jeffrey M. Cronfield, Rhea Gould, Lillian Kramer, Rose Barsky, Samuel Cohen, Harry Jablow, Max Belfus, Mark Hershen, Philip Merwin, Herman L. Merritt, Rosalind Radner, Lois Resnick Sachs, Beryl Weisberg, Joseph Foreman, Martin Q. Seltzer, Ray Goldenberg. And if there are any other names you wish to share, please do so as my eyes meet yours. May be seated. We ask that their memories, of course, be for a blessing. And once again, thank you all for coming out and praying with me today. And I want to thank our screeners and greeters, Jan Zimmerman and Jeffrey Merritt. And we, of course, thank everyone who joined us also on Zoom. We are going to close as we opened with a nigun, a wordless melody, singing our joy. You may rise as you wish. You do not have to rise. But it's always joyous if you wish to. And we join together if my iPad would like to cooperate. And now it does. So there we go. We are so grateful. Shabbat Shalom. Join us on Zoneg if you are joining us online, and we are all going to chat here. Shabbat Shalom.